Starting in verse 15, Jesus is continuing the Sermon on the Mount, and he is continuing, it's our red letter chapters, and he says this: "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves." So there will be those that come and they are seeking to rob us. They are seeking to rip us off. They're seeking to destroy us, seeking to lead us astray. False prophets. Now, this is coming on the heels of when Jesus told his listeners not to be those who judge. Don't judge. Don't judge others. Whatever way you judge others is the way that you're going to be judged. But then he says, beware of the false prophets, that there is this sense that we are to be judging in a different context, that we are to be kind of judging those that are seeking to lead us, and that we judge properly, that we don't follow blindly, but that we look out at those that are leading, especially in religious. I intentionally use the word religious because I was using the word Christian in the beginning because I feel like there's a lot of stuff in the Christian church that is not of God, and then there's a lot of stuff that is of God. And so, good morning, Jacob Powers. That's a real pastor right there. But that's all right, Gary. Good to have you on. So I think that there's a lot of stuff within the Christian church that is just not truly of God. And so I was using the word Christian. Now I've been intentionally using the word religious and religious circles to kind of separate the two, because I do believe that there is what is of God, and that is Christian, and then there is what is religious. And so we are to beware. We are to beware of the false prophets. We are to keep our eyes open for those that are teaching heresies, that those that are leading us in a direction that we are not to go. That we should be aware of that, because we have people who will listen to us as we promote certain types of teaching, that we promote certain types of belief systems. And there are those that are coming in and they look like sheep. They look all nice and gentle and they look like they care, but truly they're wolves. They're coming in to rip us up. They're coming in to really benefit themselves. What does a wolf do when it gets around sheep? It eats the sheep. It kills the sheep. It takes the sheep for itself. So the wolf is not there to protect the sheep. That's the shepherd who's there to protect the sheep. The wolf is there to eat the sheep. The wolf is there to consume from the sheep. Okay. When I was a kid, we had sheep, and we had a black sheep, and his name was Michael Jackson, and he was very mean. But that's a whole nother story. But we did have sheep, and there was a dog. I remember there was this dog that lived at the neighbor's house, and this dog was massive. I mean, it was a half Saint Bernard, half Newfoundland. It was a massive beast. And it would at times attack the sheep. You know, the sheep were just easy food for this dog. We lived out in the mountains. We were crazy folks. And this dog would come after the sheep and kill the sheep and eat the sheep. And, my dad tried to kill the dog multiple times. The stupid dog would not die. He was, I think my dad shot the dog one time because it was killing our sheep. And the dog just moseyed home after being shot. My dad threw rocks at it, threw everything he could at this thing to get the dog to leave. But the dog, he just wanted to keep coming back and eating sheep because this was easy, good, tasty food. There are those that, really, truly, sheep are led easily. We had goats as well. Goats were, they would climb up on top of cars and they would run all over the place. But the sheep, they were just kind of wimpy little things, except for Michael Jackson. That guy was tough. I was terrified of him, but somebody's got to be laughing. I wish I could see that because it's all true story. But the sheep, there are those that are coming in and they're seeking to devour. They're seeking to benefit themselves, to feed their own appetites, to feed their own hunger. And we're to be aware of them. We're to be looking out for them. There we go. I got some laughter symbols popping up. I need those if I do say something funny. You will recognize them, verse 16, by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but a diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. So, one of the ways, one of the ways that we can identify these false prophets is we look and we say, well, what fruit is coming from them? Now here's the thing. I think this is actually trickier than we might think, because the fruit that we're looking for is often not the right fruit. The fruit that we're looking for is well, then if they're not a false prophet, they must be sinless. They must be taking a hard stand on sin. Like that, truly, those that are calling out false prophets, mostly that I see, are those who are just screaming and yelling about the stance of a pastor. And oftentimes, and we talked about a video a couple of days ago that I saw of a pastor, and oftentimes one of the accusations against false prophets is not what they're saying, but what they're not saying. We're stepping out and we're saying, well, he's not saying what I think he should be saying, so he's a false prophet. Because he's not taking this stance on this issue, he must be a false prophet. And I think as we're going to look at this, we're going to see that's not truly what it is. Now, I need to sometimes stop reading comments because I love listening to you guys. Please keep communicating with each other as you go. So now, there are these false prophets that are coming in, and they are not bearing fruit. Now, what is the fruit? There's a couple things I want to look at. Number one, there is what is the fruit of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit is love. Now, there's a breakdown of that: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, all that stuff. The Holy Spirit gives us fruit. And as we are truly those that are of the Lord, you will see fruit in our lives. You will see love in our lives. You will see compassion in our lives. You will see peace in our lives. You will see patience in our lives. You will see self-control in our lives. You will see that this fruit, truly, I think the top one, the first one is love. One of the things that you will see is there are plenty of leaders, religious leaders out there who do not have any love. You do not see a compassion. You do not see a love for people. The thing that drove people to Jesus was love. Okay? So that is one of the things that we're looking for. As another thing that we're looking for is we're looking for people, the evidence of the work that they do being that which points people to Jesus. That's the key, that we can look at the followers of the prophet and we can say, do the followers follow the person, or do the followers follow Jesus? Are the followers, they're fans of a certain pastor, a certain ministry, a certain style, or are the followers Jesus people? I feel that is key. Now, here's the thing about fruit. If you want to know what kind of a tree you're looking at, if you go out and you see a tree, what kind of tree is it? Especially if it's a fruit tree, the way that you know if a lemon tree is a lemon tree is if it has lemons on it. The way you know if an orange tree is an orange tree is if it has oranges on it. But sometimes if the tree is just planted, it doesn't yet have the fruit on it. And so sometimes only time will tell. You have to watch it and you have to wait and you have to see what is the fruit going to be over time. You could judge it harshly right off the get-go, and you could say, well, that can't be a lemon tree, there's no lemons on it. But truly, if you sit and wait long enough, you will see whether or not it has lemons on it. And so I think the same is true when we're trying to judge a ministry or judge a leader. We're watching closely. You may go into it and you're watching closely and you're saying, okay, is he pointing people to Jesus? Is he producing disciples? Which is what ministry and churches and the calling is to produce disciples, and not just disciples of the leader, but truly disciples of Jesus. My hope is that as we do these types of videos, and people are benefiting from them, that there is not just a talk of, hey, there's this bald guy on my video screen at 6 a.m., but truly that there's this draw to Jesus. That there's this draw after, I've come to learn of Jesus, I've come to know Jesus, and we're going to see that that's key, that I've come to understand a little bit better Jesus, and truly, if I become all kinds of flaky and just like, you know what, I'm tired of getting up in the morning and reading my Bible with people. That you guys keep on trucking, that you guys keep on going, because there's another bald guy out there with a Bible, I promise. And so you guys just find another one, and you just like, we're just going to hang out with somebody else, and we're going to talk Jesus with somebody else, because the end result is not that it's about me. The end result is that we grow in Christ. The end result is that we follow Jesus. And a healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, and nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. And then watch this. Every tree that does not bear fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will recognize them by their fruits. The end judgment that will come to those who are the false prophets. Bald guy with a Bible, right? The end. There is a judgment that will come. There will be a judgment. There will be an end. There will be an end to these ministries, to these works. There will be destruction. Sadly, they will take many with them. But there will be, God will judge the false teacher. God will judge in the end. God will judge them. God will correct. Everyone will come and they will recognize Jesus is Lord. Jesus was the one all along. Let's get into, we've got a few minutes left. Let's get into this really scary section. This has always, I grew up in the church. This has probably been one of the scariest passages in the Bible for my entire life. And I want to break it down and see what it says for us. Here we go. Verse 21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Not everyone who comes in the end, when we die and we stand before God, or he comes and we're still alive and he returns and we stand before God and we are being judged in that moment. There will be many who have professed Jesus. It will seem there will be many who said we are Christians and they are not Christians. And we're going to see what separates these two groups of people, those who were Christians and those who were not Christians, those who can come and say, Lord, Lord, and he accepts, and those who come and say, Lord, Lord, and he does not accept. But it's a scary thing to realize that we're rubbing shoulders with people when we go to church, and we're rubbing shoulders with people in our homes that are maybe professing Christians, and I'm hopeful that that's not us, but that these people will come and they will stand before God and they will say, Lord, Lord, as if he truly was their Lord, and he will not accept them. But he says it's the one who does the will of my Father, which, if you're like me, the first time you hear this and the first time you read this, the mindset goes to those that come to, I wonder if, sorry guys, I don't know why. Every single day this thing gets dark on me at like halfway through or at this point. It seems that those that when we come and we say, Lord, Lord, it seems that it says the ones who do the will of my Father, it seems to be speaking of, okay, you just got to be spiritual enough. You just got to be righteous enough. You just got to be good enough. That's the goal, right? The goal is that we become good enough. And so many are going to come, and this is not true, but this is the way that I've often read it, that we come and we stand before God on that day of judgment, and we come and we say, Lord, you are my Lord. And he would say to us, well, no, you weren't good enough. You didn't do the will of my Father. You weren't good enough. You didn't do enough good things in your life. But what we're going to see is it's actually the complete opposite of that. Good morning, Tracy. Morning, Claire. It's not this you didn't sin enough, or you sinned too much, that you weren't righteous enough. That's not the goal. Watch as we go. Verse 22, on that day many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many works, mighty works in your name? So when they come, and they're calling out and they're saying, Lord, Lord, and he says, no, you're not accepted. These people have a list of things that they've done, but they missed something even more important. So they prophesied. Some of us have maybe prophesied. We've spoken and God spoke through us to others. They cast out demons. Like they gave people who were oppressed and some of them even possessed, controlled by outside entities, by demonic presence. And they cast them out and delivered people from these demons. They did mighty works. They healed. They ministered in supernatural ways, some of them. They did good things. I think that the list is going to be longer. Didn't we do missions to third world countries? Didn't we preach the Bible every day? Or at least every Sunday? Didn't we raise our hands when we sang songs on Sunday morning? Didn't we invite people over to dinner? Didn't we do good things? And they're coming on the basis of their good things. They're coming on the basis of all of the stuff that they've done. Didn't we do these things? Remember, Jesus had 12 guys that walked around with him 3 years. They did ministry with him. And he gave them, he empowered them to do miracles. He empowered them to go cast out demons. He empowered them to heal the sick. Of those 12 guys, one of them, his name was Judas. And Judas betrayed him in the end. Judas did all of the same things. Judas was part of these same types of works and these same types of ministries. Judas was one who would go out and heal the sick and raise the dead and cast out demons. He was one of them. And yet, Jesus said of him, because he turned away from Jesus, Jesus said it would have been better had he never been born. Like, his eternal state is not safe. His eternal state is not good. There are many of us that we find our worth, we find our acceptance from God based on the good things that we do. And we think, well, hey, we've done really good things. And we look at other people and like they've done bad things. And the reality is we're going to see there are going to be, here's the contrast. Look at this. There was a man on a cross next to Jesus who died. He died as a sinner. He died as a thief. While he was on the cross, he recognized that he had done nothing good his entire life. And he turned to Jesus, and he didn't even ask Jesus if he could go with him when he died. He just asked Jesus, he said, will you remember me when you come into your kingdom? And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. After they die, Jesus says, you're coming with me, man. You get it. You recognize it. Now recognize this. A man who did nothing good his whole life enters paradise with Jesus. At the same time, you have another guy, Judas, who casts out demons, healed the sick, did the works, walked with Jesus for 3 years. And Jesus says, not this guy, no paradise. That's scary. That's a scary passage. And the shift is not in the fact that we've got this long list of things that we've done. It's not that we've done so many good things. So then what is it? Verse 23. And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. The thing that keeps us from paradise eternally is knowing Jesus. That's it. He will say, depart from me. I did not know you. I never knew you. Yes, you were out there doing stuff for me. You were doing stuff in my name, but I never knew you. The goal of our walk with Jesus, the goal of us spending time even in the Bible, is not that we know the rules. Like, what are the rules of living life? It is that we know Jesus. That's the goal. There are multiple verses in Scripture. There's two that stand out to me. One is, it says that Jesus says, you search the Scriptures as we are doing, because in them you think you have life. With the implication that, no, searching the Scriptures does not give you life. Jesus says, you search the Scriptures, for in them you think you have life, but these are they which testify of me. That the goal of reading this is to know Jesus. The goal of reading this is to learn of Jesus, to sit with Jesus, to hear Jesus. Not that we have this list of rules, not that we learn how to cast out demons and heal the sick and all these things. Hopefully, as we know Jesus, he will begin to work through us in powerful ways. And there are many that follow Jesus that did these things, but they did them through the power of Jesus, and they did them with the credit of Jesus, and they did not own it on their own, okay? And so the goal is that we know him and that he knows us. That's key. Not that we just know of him, but truly that we know him. And look at this. This is what he says to them. He says, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Okay, here's the thing. This is key, I think. All of us are workers of lawlessness. All of us fall short. Our list of religious accomplishments does not undo the fact that we are all workers of lawlessness. But the ones who do not know Jesus will be judged on their lawlessness. The ones who are not covered by the blood of Jesus Christ on the cross, who look to the cross and say, only by that work, only by what Jesus did do I have any hope. And so I lean into the cross. Only by that work do we find paradise, do we find salvation. Only through that work. If we come and we base it on our list of achievements, on our church attendance record, or our inability to hey, what we don't drink and what we don't smoke and what we don't watch. And we come and we give that list. Lord, did I not turn down my favorite shows that all my friends were watching? Didn't I not pass on that third beer? Did I not, wasn't I solid in these things? And Jesus said, get out of here, workers of lawlessness, because that's the standard by which we're being judged. We're coming with our good works. And he's saying, not enough. Workers of lawlessness. The only way around that is so that we know him. So that we know him. Quick story to kind of a picture of this. In the Old Testament, there was this time. Now, there's a lot of pictures in the Old Testament. There's a story with Moses and Israel, and there's all of these snakes. Snakes, God sends and allows for these snakes to come and bite people, and the people are dying, and it's kind of a judgment. And so Moses goes to God and he says, what do we do? These snakes are biting us and people are dying. What do we do? And you got to understand, like, a snake is a symbol of sin and how it destroys and how it bites and how it kills. But it's this picture of sin. And God says to Moses, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a serpent, or I want you to take brass, and I want you to form it into a serpent. And I want you to put it on a pole. And as you put and I think we may come across this story later because Jesus references, but he says, I want you to put it on a pole. And all that people have to do, the Israelites, all they have to do is, while the snakes are on the ground, they just have to look at the pole. They have to look at the serpent on the pole. Now, a couple of pictures here. Number one, like I said, snakes are a picture of sin. Brass is a picture of judgment. Okay, so what you have is you have a picture of sin being judged and put up on a pole. And Jesus says that when he's on the cross, that snake represented Jesus on the cross. And so as the snakes are literally biting people's ankles and the poison is going into their body, all they have to do to be saved, it does not make any scientific sense whatsoever. All they have to do to be saved from the snakes is keep their eyes on the image, on the snake, the judged sin on the pole. And as long as they keep their eyes on that, the snakes will not bite them. They will not die from the snakes. The same is true for the way that we are saved, the way that paradise is offered to us. It is that we keep our eyes on the cross, on the work that Jesus did on the cross, on his saving power, and it is not in our ability to do mighty works. It is not in our ability to live super crazy holy lives. Now, we will get to the point where we will begin to understand that holy lives are the product of keeping our eyes on Jesus. That we will see fruit coming from our lives, and that is key, that we see those things. So, man, look at that. 6:31, we made it through this section. We're going to look at chapter 7. One last thing tomorrow, building your house on a solid foundation. And then we get into chapter 8. And chapter 8 gets kind of fun because we're going to start seeing Jesus, not just his teaching, but his interaction in the world around him. And I think that we can learn so much from those kinds of things. So thank you guys so much for jumping in with me again this morning. It's crazy. I feel like we're kind of starting to get some traction on this stuff, and it's just encouraging to me. I kind of I look at it all day. I love, I've been getting some emails from some of you guys, just incredibly encouraging, just the way that God is using this to speak to you. And it's incredibly humbling. You know, this was just a crazy idea that we could even do this and that people would interact with it. I mean, I've got the one from yesterday on here, and it went through over 1,000 people's Facebook feed. And that's, a lot of that has to do with you guys sharing it and interacting with it. I think Facebook says it's valuable because of the comments that you guys leave. Thanks for dropping in, Jacob. So good to have you on there, man. You should call me sometime. You know, so just your comments, your likes, your shares, all that kind of stuff. Now, if God makes it valuable to you, if you feel that it's something, I know. Here's the thing. I want to put this out there. I'm very cautious about the stuff that I'm sharing on my Facebook page. Okay, so I don't just share stuff. So it means a lot to me if you get, when you guys share stuff and when you guys make comments and all that. It means a lot to me because it tells me that you trust what we're doing, that what I'm doing, and you're trusting this whole process. So, as the Lord leads you, let's meet up again tomorrow, 6 a.m. We'll do this whole thing again. Thank you guys for waking up early, and we'll see you later. All right. Oh, I got a comment. A couple comments on YouTube that I do not want to miss before I go. So give me 1 second here. Hold on. Thank you. It says Mrs. Blessed. That's good. That's a good enough name, right? Evangeline says good night. So you are far, far away if it's nighttime, because we're just getting started. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's do it again tomorrow. Come visit. See you guys.